What if I told you that the first war in existence didn't happen on Earth? Before humanity, before Eden, before sin entered mankind, there was already a rebellion. A cosmic uprising led by the most beautiful being God ever created, Lucifer, the morning star. Welcome to Divine War Stories, where ancient battles, angelic power, and biblical truths collide in epic storytelling. If you're drawn to heavenly warfare, forbidden realms, and the untold stories of angels and demons, you're in the right place. Subscribe and prepare to see the unseen. In the vast expanse of eternity before time was even measurable, there was harmony in the heavenly realms. A perfect order, celestial music, and divine purpose radiated from the throne of the Most High. Among the multitudes of angelic hosts stood one who outshone them all, Lucifer. He wasn't just another angel, he was an anointed cherub, a guardian of God's glory, clothed in light and adorned with precious stones. Ezekiel described his beauty and perfection, declaring that he was created flawless in all his ways. But hidden beneath that perfection, a seed began to form. A dangerous thought. A desire. Lucifer's role in heaven was not only one of beauty but authority. He walked among the fiery stones, stood in the presence of God, and possibly led the worship in the highest courts of heaven. He was admired by angels, radiant in splendor and unmatched in intelligence. But somewhere, somehow, admiration became pride. As Isaiah reveals, Lucifer began to whisper to himself, "I will ascend to the heavens. I will raise my throne above the stars of God. I will make myself like the Most High." This wasn't just arrogance. It was mutiny, the beginning of treason in paradise. But how could rebellion exist in a perfect being? It's the mystery theologians still ponder. Lucifer was created good. He didn't have sin in him, until he chose it. That moment of self-glorification cracked the harmony of heaven. Pride, the root of all rebellion, was born not on earth, but in the very presence of God. This act wasn't just about disobedience, it was an attempt to dethrone the Almighty. And the cost would echo across creation. Lucifer's fall wasn't immediate. Scripture hints that he began to influence others, persuading, seducing, sowing doubt among angels. Revelation says a third of the stars, symbolic of angels, were swept down by the dragon's tail. Think about that, an untold number of celestial beings joined his cause. What? Because Lucifer was convincing. He offered a new order. Freedom from divine hierarchy. Glory apart from God. But what he promised was an illusion, a darkness masquerading as light. And then it happened. War in heaven. Not metaphor, not myth, but a clash of divine forces. Michael the archangel, the warrior of heaven, rose with the loyal angels to face the rebel horde. The Bible doesn't give all the details, but Revelation paints the picture. The dragon, Lucifer, and his angels fought back. But they were not strong enough. And there was no longer any place for them in heaven. Lucifer was cast down, exiled. No longer the shining morning star. Now, the accuser. The adversary. The devil. The name Lucifer, meaning light bringer, was replaced with titles of darkness. Satan, the adversary. Dragon. Serpent. Prince of the power of the air. His descent wasn't just a fall from a throne, but a fall from identity. From beauty to corruption. From worshipper to destroyer. From son of the morning to king of the abyss. And the angels who followed him? They became what we now call demons, disembodied, enraged, and condemned. Cast down to earth, Lucifer didn't come alone. His fallen army began shaping the unseen world, tempting, deceiving, corrupting. In Genesis we see his first move, the serpent in the garden. He doesn't come with horns or fire, but with a question, did God really say? The same pride that led him to rebel, he now sowed into humanity. And with Adam and Eve's fall, Lucifer gained influence over the earth, not by force but by deception. What makes Lucifer truly dangerous isn't just his power, it's his strategy. He doesn't just oppose God, he imitates him. The Bible calls him the father of lies, and warns that he disguises himself as an angel of light. His goal is to counterfeit truth, to twist it just enough that we're led astray. He isn't interested in being worshipped by name, only in keeping people from worshiping the true God. That's why his rebellion didn't end in heaven. It continues here. But here's the twist. Lucifer still has access to the heavenly courts. In Job, we see him presenting himself before God, accusing the righteous. In Zechariah, he stands ready to accuse the high priest. He is the adversary not just of God, but of every soul created in his image. His war is now against you. Against me. Against the purpose of God in mankind. But here's what he doesn't want you to know. His fate is sealed. Lucifer's story is one of tragedy, not just because of what he lost but because of what he could have been. He had everything. He was close to the throne, basked in divine presence, and still, he wanted more. He wanted it all. And in trying to take it, he lost everything. His fall reminds us that the greatest threat isn't always something outside of us. It can be the unchecked desires within. Pride, ambition, comparison, they can turn even angels into enemies of God. After his fall, Lucifer became obsessed with one mission: to sabotage God's masterpiece, humanity. Made in the image of God, humans represented everything Satan could never be: beings with the capacity to walk in humility, in obedience, and receive grace. That's why his tactics shifted from war to manipulation. He couldn't overthrow heaven, so he sought to corrupt earth. He whispered lies, stirred rebellion, and watched civilizations rise under his influence, intoxicated with the same pride that doomed him. Throughout Scripture, we see his fingerprints behind every major spiritual conflict. From the Pharaoh who hardened his heart, to the kings who bowed to idols, to Judas who betrayed the Messiah, Satan moves subtly, always pulling strings behind the curtain. But make no mistake, his rebellion is not chaos. Strategic, calculated. And it operates under one principle: to exalt anything except God. Because Satan doesn't need to make you worship him. He just needs to make sure you don't worship the Lord. The prophets and apostles warn of his devices, not to scare us but to equip us. Paul says our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against rulers, authorities, and the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. That includes Satan and his fallen host. These aren't myths. They are real forces influencing nations, ideas, trends, and even doctrines. And Lucifer, though defeated in heaven, still operates on earth with fury, knowing his time is short. One of the greatest deceptions Satan ever pulled was convincing the world he doesn't exist. In a modern age where science and reason rule, the idea of a fallen angel orchestrating spiritual war sounds absurd, and that's exactly how he likes it. Because if you deny the war, you won't fight. If you ignore the enemy, you won't resist. And if you don't know the truth, you'll fall for the lie. Just like Eve did. Just like he did. But his story doesn't end with Earth. Revelation unveils the final chapter. The dragon, enraged, wages war against the saints, but he's defeated once again. This time permanently. Bound, judged, and thrown into the lake of fire, not as ruler but as prisoner. No throne. No army. No kingdom. Just eternal separation from the presence of God. That is the true end of rebellion. The rebellion that began with "I will rise," ends with an eternal fall. And yet, even knowing that fate, Satan still rages. Not because he thinks he can win, but because he wants to drag as many as possible down with him. His anger isn't just at God. It's at you. You're the image bearer. The redeemed. The living testimony of grace he'll never taste. And every time you choose to worship, every time you resist temptation, every time you forgive or pray or stand firm, it reminds him of everything he lost. Lucifer's rebellion is a warning to every generation. It teaches that no position, no beauty, no gifting makes us immune to pride. That even those closest to God can fall if they turn their gaze inward. But it also reveals the unshakable justice of God. He didn't ignore the rebellion. He judged it. And he still judges today, not because he is cruel but because he is holy. Heaven has no place for pride. Only surrender. So where does that leave us? Caught in the crossfire of a war we can't always see. But we are not powerless. Scripture says we overcome the enemy by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. That's not just poetic, it's a battle plan. Jesus has already secured victory. The cross crushed Satan's legal authority, and the resurrection sealed his fate. We don't fight for victory, we fight from it. But you have to choose a side. There is no neutral ground in a war of kingdoms. Either your life reflects the kingdom of light or contributes to the shadow of rebellion. Lucifer's story is not just about the fall of an angel, it's a mirror, a reflection of what pride can do, of how far one can fall, and of how dangerous it is to forget who truly sits on the throne. Don't repeat his mistake. Don't chase a crown that isn't yours. This is just the beginning of understanding the war beyond the veil, the rebellion that began in eternity and echoes into today. In the next episodes, we'll uncover the movements of fallen angels, their influence on ancient empires, and how their dark legacy still shapes our world. If you're drawn to the hidden truths behind Scripture and the spiritual battles still raging, subscribe now to Divine War Stories. Stay alert, stay armored, and never forget, the war is real but so is the victory. Enjoyed this deep dive? Hit the like button, share with someone who needs to hear this, and subscribe for more heavenly warfare stories. Your support helps us spread truth through epic storytelling.